What if the greatest threat to your peace in old age isn't illness or loneliness, but the people you allow into your life, even the ones closest to you? As the Buddha once said, your own self is your master. Who else could be? This profound teaching reminds us that our happiness, inner peace, and clarity are shaped not just by our thoughts or actions, but by the company we keep. And as we grow older, stepping into what many call the golden chapter of life, this truth becomes even more essential. Old age is meant to be a season of reflection, gratitude, and serenity, a time when we can finally slow down, savor the present, and cherish the journey we've walked. But just like a well-tended garden needs protection from weeds, our lives in later years need protection from toxic influences, no matter where they come from. Not all relationships are created equal. Some uplift and nourish our spirit. Others quietly drain us, leaving behind fatigue, confusion, or emotional heaviness. And sometimes, these draining connections can come from the very people we've known the longest, even family. Today, let's explore 5 types of people you must avoid in old age, even if they're family. By choosing wisely who you keep close, you preserve your peace, protect your energy, and honor the wisdom you spent a lifetime earning. 1. The manipulator. Imagine this. You're enjoying a quiet afternoon, sipping a warm cup of tea. The sun filters softly through the window. Life feels still and gentle. Suddenly, the phone rings. It's a familiar relative, asking for yet another favor. At first, it seems harmless. You agree, thinking it's just a simple act of kindness. But as the weeks go by, the requests pile up. They become more frequent, more demanding. You begin to feel drained, overwhelmed, used. Manipulators are masters of emotional leverage. They often appeal to your kindness, your sense of responsibility, and your lifelong habit of helping others. They use guilt as a tool, making you feel that saying no is an act of cruelty, not self-care. At first, it might feel like you're helping someone in need, but in truth, what they need is not help, they need control. And they've chosen your kindness as their entry point. In Buddhism, we're taught the importance of setting boundaries as a form of compassion, not only toward ourselves, but toward others. Compassion doesn't mean enabling harmful patterns. It means acting from love while preserving our mental, emotional, and spiritual balance. Over time, manipulators may even escalate their tactics. They'll remind you of the things you've done for them in the past, twisting your generosity into obligation. If you hesitate or push back, they may accuse you of being ungrateful, selfish, or heartless. But true compassion, real, honest, enlightened compassion, begins from within. Without peace inside, we cannot truly give peace to others. That's why protecting yourself is not an act of selfishness, it's an act of wisdom. So how can you respond? When a request arises, pause. Ask yourself, does this bring harmony into my life? Or does it stir anxiety, tension, or guilt? Pay attention to how your body responds. Your intuition often knows the answer before your mind does. And if the answer is no, practice saying it gently but clearly. For example, I understand you're in a difficult situation, but I need to prioritize my own well-being right now. Boundaries aren't walls. They are doors, designed to protect what matters most. In your later years, that means preserving your time, your energy, and your sacred peace. Learning to say no to manipulation is not rejection, it's self-respect. And with that clarity, we begin to draw the lines that protect our peace. Setting boundaries is more than a defense mechanism, it is a deep act of self-preservation. It allows us to maintain control over our time, our energy, and our attention, precious resources we can then offer to the people and activities that truly matter. In the context of Buddhist philosophy, boundaries are not walls of resistance but expressions of mindfulness. They ask us to stay present, to notice our own needs and acknowledge our personal limits. Saying no doesn't mean we are turning our backs on someone. It simply means we are declining the imbalance that has crept into the relationship. This mindful approach teaches us to prioritize the connections that uplift and nourish us, rather than those that drain or overshadow us. Imagine this. An elder sits quietly in their garden, the sun filtering through the trees, birds singing gently nearby. The phone rings, again. But instead of rushing to answer out of obligation, they choose to let it ring. They stay in the moment, breathing in peace. That simple decision is powerful. It represents a conscious shift, a choice to value stillness over stress, presence over pressure. By embracing this mindset, we don't close ourselves off. We open ourselves up to authenticity, to peace, and to joy, to the self-absorbed. While manipulators use guilt to control, the self-absorbed demand attention by monopolizing space, both conversational and emotional. The Buddha taught that true connection is born from empathy and deep understanding. But some people become so absorbed in their own world that they fail to see anyone else's. These individuals don't necessarily mean harm, but their inability to look beyond themselves creates an emotional gap that leaves you feeling invisible. Picture this moment. You sit down, ready to share a warm memory, maybe a story from your younger days. Something that still makes you smile. But before you can finish, the person across from you cuts in. They shift the spotlight. Suddenly, the story is no longer yours. It's become another stage for their experience. It's not just an interruption. It's a pattern, one that over time makes you feel unheard, unseen, even unnecessary. Your presence becomes little more than a backdrop for their performance. The self-absorbed often don't act out of cruelty. In many cases, they genuinely enjoy your company. But their focus remains turned inward. They are so wrapped in their own emotions, desires, and experiences that they cannot give the mutual care and respect that true connection requires. And in old age, when your voice holds the weight of lived wisdom, this kind of imbalance can feel particularly painful. So, how should we respond? It begins with self-awareness and gentle redirection. When you find the conversation constantly veering away from you, try saying something like, "I'd like to finish what I was sharing, it's important to me." This kind of statement isn't confrontational. It's a reminder that your story matters. 2. That your presence isn't just to listen, it's to be heard. And over time, consistent redirection may help shift the tone of the relationship towards something more balanced. But sometimes, Even our best efforts may not change the dynamic, and that, too, is something we must learn to recognize. Having recognized the draining nature of one-sided relationships, we now turn our attention to another energy-sapping presence, the one who constantly finds fault. When limits must be set. Spending extended time with someone who continually dismisses your perspective can quietly wear you down. It's not always loud or dramatic, but it's steady. And that steady erosion can take a toll on your emotional well-being. Learning to limit interactions with such individuals, or choosing instead to nurture relationships with those who genuinely listen, care, and uplift you, is not avoidance. It's self-care. Surround yourself with friends, family members, or community connections who see the value in your words, who light up when you speak, and who treasure your stories as much as you do. These are the people who affirm your worth, not through flattery, but through presence and interest. Picture a small gathering. Everyone's voice is heard, laughter rises easily, stories pass between generations, each one received with warmth, curiosity, and attention. These kinds of moments are not just pleasant, they're nourishing. They reveal the profound beauty of balanced relationships. In contrast, consider how heavy it feels to always be the listener, the supporter, or the one being overlooked. That imbalance, over time, dims the spirit. In Buddhism, relationships are not merely social. They are sacred opportunities to practice mindfulness and compassion. And when we nurture those built on mutual respect, we create an atmosphere where everyone involved can grow and thrive. In your quiet moments of reflection, never forget this: your stories, your memories, your insights, they matter. They carry wisdom, depth, and joy. Share them with those who recognize their value. And if someone cannot see your worth, let go of the need to convince them. Instead, turn toward those who honor the richness of your life's journey. 3. The critic. Criticism has a sharp edge, especially when it comes from someone close to us. The critic is that person who never misses a chance to point out your mistakes, your shortcomings, or your bad choices, often wrapped in the disguise of care. At first, it may sound harmless, helpful, even, you really should. Have you considered doing it this way? These phrases may seem soft on the surface, but over time, they carry the weight of disapproval, like drops of water falling on stone. Their words slowly wear down your confidence, your self-image, and even your trust in your own decisions. Left unchecked, this constant critique can reshape how you see yourself and how you experience the world. It's subtle, but deeply impactful. Buddhist philosophy teaches us that the words of others are like arrows. They can only wound us if we allow them to pierce our hearts. In other words, you have a choice. You may not control what others say, but you can control how deeply it reaches you. Recognizing this is a vital step in reclaiming your inner peace. When faced with a critic, pause and reflect on their intent. Are they truly offering thoughtful feedback? Or are their comments laced with personal insecurity? Very often, habitual critics are projecting their own fears. They criticize as a way to deflect from themselves, from their pain, from what they're unwilling to face. Knowing this allows you to meet their words not with defensiveness, but with clarity and calm. You don't need to fight. You don't need to shrink. You only need to stay centered in who you are. Once you've learned to stand firm in the face of criticism, the next challenge is recognizing when support turns into enabling, especially with those who refuse to take responsibility for their own lives. Confidence is a practice in mindfulness. Rather than absorbing harsh words, practice responding with clarity and composure. A simple, grounded statement like, "I appreciate your perspective, but I'm content with how I've chosen to live my life," can be a gentle yet powerful way to affirm your choices and set clear boundaries, without creating conflict. This kind of response not only shields your emotional well-being, but it also sends a subtle message. Their words don't define your truth. And in some cases, especially when the pattern of criticism is ongoing and toxic, the most compassionate action may be to create distance. Sometimes peace requires space. If a relationship is consistently filled with judgment, negativity, or control, limiting your exposure to that energy becomes an act of self-respect. Surrounding yourself with people who recognize your strengths, encourage your growth, and respect your boundaries can slowly rebuild the confidence that years of criticism may have worn down. Picture this. You're in your garden again. The sunlight dances through the leaves as you gently tend to your plants. A neighbor's critical comment floats by, but instead of reacting, you simply smile and return to the soil, to the present moment. That small decision says everything. It's the quiet power of resilience in action. In that space of inner steadiness, you reclaim something vital, your peace. Your worth is not defined by someone else's opinion. And your happiness? It was never theirs to approve. When you shift your focus toward what uplifts, inspires, and supports your growth, you create a life where your authentic self can finally breathe and flourish. 4. The irresponsible. Another presence to be mindful of in later life is the irresponsible individual, the one who thrives by leaning on others to handle the consequences of their choices. They often come to you with urgent needs, seeking financial help, emotional support, or assistance during a temporary crisis. And because you're kind-hearted, you offer your help. You may lend money, offer your time, or provide emotional comfort, trusting that your generosity will help them move forward. But slowly, a pattern begins to take shape. The promises to repay or change are rarely fulfilled. The emergencies never seem to end. What once felt like a compassionate act becomes an exhausting cycle, and the burden of their irresponsibility starts to land squarely on your shoulders. Emotionally, financially, spiritually. In Buddhism, the law of karma teaches that each individual must experience the results of their own actions in order to grow. When we constantly shield someone from their natural consequences, we unintentionally rob them of valuable lessons. We don't help them, we hinder their journey. True compassion is not limitless sacrifice. It is balanced care. It's knowing when to give and when to step back. Supporting someone should never mean losing yourself in the process. That's why it's essential to acknowledge your limits. You are not obligated to fix problems that are not yours to solve. This doesn't mean abandoning others. It means practicing compassionate detachment, a way of caring that doesn't entangle you in another's chaos. You can still offer love and kindness, while protecting your energy and well-being. After all, isn't wisdom in old age about knowing where to draw the line? Once you've stepped away from the exhausting role of rescuer, another emotional drain may surface: the weight of giving to those who never seem to appreciate it. For example, you might say, "I care about you, but I'm not in a position to solve this for you." Perhaps you could explore other options. This kind of response communicates empathy while drawing a firm boundary. It protects your energy and gently reminds the other person that their problems are their own to solve. A powerful shift can happen when you stop fixing and start guiding. Instead of constantly stepping in to rescue, try offering tools or suggestions that empower them to take responsibility. If someone repeatedly asks for financial help, for instance, encourage them to speak with a financial counselor or start building a budget. It's not about turning your back, it's about encouraging growth. By doing this, you preserve your own peace while fostering their independence. Picture this moment: an elder lighting incense at a home altar, pausing in quiet reflection. That simple act represents detachment and balance, a mindful letting go of burdens that don't belong to you. It's a symbol of reclaiming emotional space for joy, clarity, and serenity. In your later years, peace is not a luxury. It's your birthright. Letting go of the urge to rescue others is not cruelty. It's a clear acknowledgement of your own value, time, and emotional boundaries. These golden years are for self-care, exploration, and connections that nourish, not for carrying the weight of others' choices. When you set clear limits and center your energy on what uplifts you, everyone benefits. You honor your path, and you allow others the dignity of walking their own. 5. The ungrateful. There's a unique joy in giving, whether it's your time, attention, or support. But when that giving is met with silence, criticism, or entitlement, it begins to feel heavy. It begins to feel like a burden. The ungrateful person is someone who consistently takes your kindness for granted. They may not lash out or cause drama, but their lack of appreciation leaves a deeper stain: the feeling of being invisible. Over time, this kind of dynamic becomes more than just emotionally draining. It can diminish the pure joy you once felt in helping others. Imagine preparing a meal with care, putting love into every step, only to be met with complaints about the flavor. Or offering hours of support during someone's difficult time, only to be ignored when you are the one in need. These moments hurt, not because you expected praise, but because your heart wasn't even seen. Buddhist teachings remind us that true generosity is selfless. We give not for validation, but from the sincerity of our hearts. Yet, it's equally important to recognize when your energy is being misused. Kindness is a precious gift, and like any gift of value, it deserves to be respected. When the joy of giving fades, it often signals that something has shifted. The balance in the relationship may have tilted from mutual respect to quiet expectation. It's worth asking, is this person truly grateful? Or do they see your kindness as something owed? In many cases, the ungrateful don't mean harm. They've simply grown accustomed to receiving without recognizing. Entitlement clouds awareness. But understanding that doesn't mean you must continue giving endlessly. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is redirect your energy toward people and causes that truly appreciate it. That kind of shift can be deeply fulfilling. Consider volunteering your time, supporting someone who lights up with gratitude. Giving where your efforts are cherished can reignite your joy and restore your belief in the beauty of generosity. Redirecting your kindness toward those who truly value it is not just healing, it's empowering. And from that place of clarity, the joy of giving can return in its purest form. Just imagine an elder sitting in a cozy corner of a community center, surrounded by children, sharing stories filled with laughter and wisdom, or helping prepare a warm meal for those in need, exchanging smiles and receiving heartfelt thanks. These simple moments, these shared human connections, can reawaken the spirit. They remind us that giving, when received with gratitude, becomes a source of deep joy. But it's also important to pause and reflect on why you give. Acts of generosity should feel nourishing, not depleting. They should bring peace, not pressure, fulfillment, not frustration. When you shift your focus away from the expectations of others and toward the positive emotions that thoughtful giving brings you, peace, purpose, connection, you begin to create a life that's rooted in meaning, not reaction. Let go of the need to earn validation from those who can't see your value. Instead, celebrate the connections that uplift you. Honor those who reflect your kindness back with appreciation. Picture this: a life where your efforts are recognized, where your acts of service are met not with silence, but with sincere gratitude. This isn't just a comforting fantasy. It's a reality you can choose to create. How? By investing your energy wisely and surrounding yourself with people who cherish your presence. Your golden years should be filled with peace, reflection, and joy, not burdened by resentment or unmet expectations. By protecting your heart and honoring your emotional boundaries, you don't lose your giving spirit, you refine it. You preserve its beauty while ensuring it's never misused. As we continue walking the path of life, especially into our later years, one truth becomes clear: protecting your peace is essential. By choosing the right people to walk with, and gently releasing those who drain you, you uphold the wisdom and dignity of your journey. You embrace a life of clarity, self-respect, and emotional balance. As the Buddha so simply said, "Peace comes from within, do not seek it without." Let that truth guide your days. Surround yourself with love, kindness, and respect. These are the true pillars of a meaningful life. You've earned them. So now, take a moment to reflect. What steps will you take today to protect your peace? If this message resonated with you, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more inspiring content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Together, let's build a community grounded in wisdom, compassion, and authentic connection.